Hello, this is John Majori with MajoriOnBowie.com. And this is the MajoriOnBowie.com YouTube channel where I have an exclusive interview every week that has something to do with David Bowie. And for daily content, visit the blog, www.majorionbowie.com, where I have new content every day that almost always has something to do with David Bowie. Today, I have a very special guest with me, Ingrid Goudswaard, a photographer from the Netherlands who went on what to me seems like a spiritual journey to create a very special book, David Bowie Still Here, which we're going to talk about today. Ingrid specializes in interior architectural photos as well as portraits, and I'll put a link to her website in the blog where you could see more examples of her work. We're going to talk about this labor of love that she put together, which in my view, it's a beautiful book that she made a very bold decision about. It's a photo book about David Bowie that does not include any photos of David Bowie. So I'm going to ask Ingrid about the strategy behind that, and we'll talk about the importance of place, and we'll get right into it. So Ingrid, thank you. Welcome.
Thank you for being on your show.
Well, I'm so delighted to have you here, and I have to tell you that I found your book so meaningful that, like I said, it almost seemed like a spiritual experience. But before, tell me in your words the premise of the book, the premise of the project.
After David died, I heard it on the news, and I was like many, I was devastated.
Yeah.
First, I thought, no, this can't be true. David Bowie dead now.
Yeah.
Well, and time goes by, and then I thought, well, I felt the urge to visit one of the places where he lived. And from Rotterdam to Berlin, I could go by car. I thought that's the most easy way. So I had this little van, so I jumped into my van, drove to Berlin, and there I started looking at the house, and I always sneak in. You know, I always find a way to get into the building. And then I was inside, and I was walking around, looking at things, and I was feeling his presence there. It's amazing. The energy you feel. There's so much David still there. And then I started taking some pictures, looking at my camera, and then I thought I should do something with this, like a lightning bolt from the sky came to me and said, yeah, you have to do this for me, like David was telling me to start a project. And at that time, I wasn't sure what it was going to be, like it was only photos, or at that moment, I did not know it was going to be a book.
Yeah.
Then I started taking pictures in Berlin, more photos, went to several places, etc. And that's where the journey started.
So let me go back. When you said you were in the building, in the apartment where he lived in Berlin, and you felt
not the apartment itself, in the hallway.
In the hallway, but you felt like there was still his presence. What do you mean? What were you experiencing?
Yeah, you know, everyone was feeling so sad,
right,
about him being dead. And when I was there, I felt this kind of ease and kind of happy feeling, like he was surrounding me, and it felt like I was not there on my own. And yeah.
I have to. This is. I want to ask you about your story, I feel compelled to tell you that the predecessor of my blog started the same way. When I learned that he died, on the spot, I decided to start writing, and I've been writing about David Bowie ever since.
Yeah.
So I think your experience is. I think a lot of people can relate to that. So you made a strategic decision not to include any images of Bowie in the book. So why was that?
Because I don't have any images of David Bowie.
Yeah.
As a photographer, you only use your own images. So I make my own image. So I have no photos of David Bowie. And the idea behind the book is it's about imagining him being there.
Yeah.
So when you look at the photos, you can imagine him being there, but everybody has his own persona of David, which
Right.
he likes most.
Yeah.
You have the Ziggy Stardust fans, you have the reality tour fans. It's because every David, there's so many different Davids in personas, with the red hair, with the perm, there's so many different, and everybody has its own favorite David.
Yeah.
And when you go through the book, you can imagine your David there. So it's not only, but if you go through the book, you can make it your own. So
Right.
it's not only that I present you a book. When you look at the photos, you can put your own David in there. You can make it your own little experience.
Yeah.
So I give you my experience to make it your own experience. And what people sometimes tell me, that they feel that I'm taking them on a journey through his life.
Sure. That's how I felt when I was reading it and looking at it. And I was wondering, when you were literally going on a journey because you went to all these places, did it feel like you were going?
Yeah, it started in Berlin.
Yeah.
And there there it started, and then my journey continued, and so then I went to London, so I took some photos in London, and then I was reading Psychedelic Suburbia by Mary Finnegan, and there are several how do you say that? Several parts of her life that has this the same level as I have, the same experiences. So then I contacted her about the idea of my book, and because of the spiritual idea behind it, and I also, Mary is a Buddhist, David was interested in Buddhism, I also am sort of Buddhist. So we got into contact, and she really liked the idea. So the next step was I went to her house, and we spoke a lot about it, and she gave me also some more background information about where to go, etc. And she said, "You really must do this. You must do this." So she pushed me ahead, you know.
Yeah.
There it continued.
Yeah.
From
How
there.
did you choose what locations to visit?
Well, locations where he was born, of course.
Yeah.
Berlin was a period where his life was saved, because he went to Berlin. If he didn't, if he wouldn't have gone to Berlin, he would have died in LA.
Yeah.
So I didn't put LA in there because of that.
Right.
Because it was it gave him also bad memories. So I also wanted to put places in there that made him happy.
Right. Yeah.
And also possible for me to visit. So I went to London, Berlin. Hérouville is close to Paris. It's about an hour before Paris. So I went there because it was the Low trilogy. It was Low, Heroes, and Lodger.
Yeah.
By the way, only Low was the only album that was almost fully recorded there. Just
not everybody knows that.
Everybody knows that because Tony Visconti keeps on telling that. Heroes was taken in Berlin, and Lodger was recorded in Switzerland.
Yeah. Yeah.
And even the final part of Low was done in Berlin. So there's a connection between Berlin and Hérouville. So that's why I thought it should be in it. And yeah, from there I went to where did he got married in Italy with Iman. So I also went to Switzerland where the first marriage took place, because there were no photos of the first the marriage in the city hall. Nobody was there. It was a private ceremony. So what I did, I went to the city hall, and I started. I sneaked in again. It was funny because there was a wedding going on, and people were thought that I was there like a tourist,
Yes.
a camera, a yellow raincoat, because everywhere I went it was raining. Yellow raincoat. I was waiting there, and they all thought, "Oh, you're the photographer." Yeah, I'm waiting for them to come out. Oh yeah, sure. So then they came out of the room, and I thought, well, now I can go in. So I walked to the room, then they closed it. Oh, then I saw this man there, and I said, "Oh, I wanted to take some pictures of the wedding room, but somebody closed it." "Oh, did she close? Oh, I can open it for you, and then take your time." So he opened the door, and I could take my time in taking pictures of the wedding room where the first wedding took place. So you can imagine David and Iman sitting there with their witnesses, getting married for the city council. That was, yeah, and those are the special moments and small gifts. And I always think David must have helped.
Yeah.
He loves, I'm sure up there, he loves how all the people down here, the fans, you, I, are still putting so much effort in making him immortal, in keeping him alive.
Right.
I think he, as a spirit, appreciates that. And
Yeah.
I think that's why we all succeed.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
Who
Well,
else
I
could
feel
it
that
be
too.
so easy?
Yeah. So let's take a look at some of the images from the book.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna pull them up. Okay. So
Oh,
Ingrid, this is the cover of the book, and let me ask you, where, if you know, at this point, somebody's gonna want to buy the book, and where could people get the book?
well, that depends on the country you're in, but in all countries you can get it at Amazon. And when you're in Canada, Australia, or the US, you should get it from Amazon Germany, amazon.de, because
Okay.
they ship to the United States.
I will put a link in the blog, and if you're not from one of those countries, I will.
You can pick your own Amazon
Great.
in
Okay.
Europe. Yeah.
So this is the cover of the book, and what is it that we're looking at here?
We're looking at his house, his home in New York.
Yeah.
And also the part that was really his. I did a lot of research on because it's a large building, and I often saw Iman posting photos on her Facebook, and there you always saw the water tower sometimes. So
Yeah.
windows you see there are definitely his apartment.
Yeah.
So you could imagine him being in his apartment still. And what you also see is a rainbow.
Right. Yeah.
And after he died, a double rainbow appeared in the sky. And in Buddhism, it is the case that when a special person dies, then a double rainbow appears.
So was that rainbow, if that's a photograph of a rainbow, or did you add that as an effect?
That's my secret.
Okay. All right. Okay. So I'm gonna move on. Then there you are with the book. And who is that you're with?
That's Donny McCaslin. He's a dear friend of mine. Meantime, because he was in Rotterdam at New York Jazz in 2016, and then I met him. I was wearing my Black Star T-shirt, and we connected, and we had a very yeah. It was we shared our grief,
Yeah.
he was always, or still is, so respectful about how his time with David, etc.
Yeah.
And he also helped me by with realizing my book, also keeping my spirit high.
Yes.
And so this was the last time he was in Rotterdam. Then I presented him my book.
Yeah. And just, you know, and the off chance somebody doesn't know, he was the band leader and the saxophone player on Black Star.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So here is, and so who is that?
That's Carlos Alomar.
Yeah. Long-time collaborator.
Yeah, long-time collaborator. Also, especially in up until the reality tour.
Right. Yeah.
And this was in last summer in Liverpool. We had the David Bowie World Fan Convention.
Yes. Yes.
And I tried to have get some more publicity for my book also.
Yeah.
And then I came to the idea to have some of the band members or the artists sign a personal message in my book.
Yeah.
And I have the most special edition because it has several texts from artists added to a place that was important to them. So that gives it another dimension also.
So this is what Carlos was signing, and what that a picture of, and why was it important to him?
Well, this was Heroville. On the right photo, you see the door.
Yes.
And the door is the entrance to the studio. The windows on the right, you see, those are the dining room. The windows of the dining room.
Yeah.
And the studio was really they had a lot of fun there, and that was his memory. And the left photo, that's where you that's when you walk around the area. That's the door leading to the part from the swimming pool to the right side. Well, that's a bit. And what happened was I saw this shadow all of a sudden on this door.
Yeah.
And it struck me because there's a spirit. There's a spirit haunting still in Chateau d'Hérouville. Chopin. It used to be Chopin's, and they say the bedroom is still haunted by Chopin.
Yeah.
And what I thought was, well, now maybe this is David's shadow, and he has taken over from Chopin.
Yeah. It almost looks like him.
Yeah.
Wearing the black vest.
Yeah.
The thin white dude.
See?
Yes.
Those are scary things.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
So I'm showing this because I just want to give people a sense of what the physical layout of the book looks like, and this is explaining the significance of Florence.
Yeah, I'll explain. I did everything myself. I needed a publisher, so I had this publisher I found in Italy, and then the book had a totally different layout. All of a sudden, that was due to COVID, the paper prices were doubled. And they stopped. They said, well, I can't do it anymore. I don't get the money, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So then I thought, step 2. So I'm going to do crowdfunding. I started crowdfunding to get enough, at least part of the money to get it realized. And then I also completely changed the design. I did the design myself. I did everything myself.
Yeah.
And the design is, you have the cover. It's a lay. I can show you. It's a lay flat copy because this is the back. It has no back. Some people send it back to Amazon. It has no back. It's the wrong one. No, it's in the design. because if you lay it flat, you don't lose any image, any part of the image.
Yeah.
Because mostly part of the image disappears in the back. And with this one, it doesn't.
Yeah.
Second part is the layout is I have photos, but I didn't want to put so much text in it, because if you want to have a biography, you can take all the biographies you want, and you can find all the other information. So what I did, I took there's the city, and in front of the city there's the on black pages there's the explanation of what you're going to see, but all really short, not too much. Like London has only 2 pages.
Right.
And it tells a little bit about me, what happened, and also about the places you're seeing. And each of those cities has a line. You can see the orange line here.
Yes.
And I told you earlier about the double rainbow. And for people who know it, they might see it. But if you don't see it and you're not that kind of a spiritual person, then it doesn't matter. It doesn't bother. So it's there. If you want to see it, you can see it. If you don't, then it's just a nice colored band. But the second rainbow is on the cities, because London has the purple.
Right.
And then Florence has orange, and then all the way up to New York, which has, that's the final, which has the red line.
Yeah.
This is the church where David and Iman got married. And also in the book, I have several quotes of David himself. Like
Right.
this one. This was what he told in Arsenio Hall show in 1993. And that about his being married to Iman. So this is about this part of the book.
Yeah. He really did seem like he had finally become happy.
Yeah, no, these were his exact words.
So this is now we're looking at one of the photos that appears in the book. And
Yeah.
what is this place, and why is it important?
This is important because David went to Herouville in 73 for pinups.
Right.
That was the first time. And then the second time was for the Low album.
Yeah.
And when he came there the second time with Tony Visconti for the Low album, these are the bedrooms, these two windows. And David said to, I'll check the exact words. Tony Visconti confirmed that this is the window with the clouds in it is the master bedroom, and the other one is the guest room. And when they came there the second time, and he gave the master bedroom to Tony, and David took the guest room. And it was presumed that back in 1973, David slept in the master bedroom. And because of the first day of Low, he walked in there and he said, "I'm not sleeping there." And Tony said that the master bedroom had a very dark corner right next to the window. Ironically, that seemed to just suck light into it. It was colder in that corner too. Tony was not really comfortable in that room in 1973. 77,
Yeah.
in 1977. Thank you.
Mm.
Thank you. So he gave Tony the master bedroom because he knew about the room being haunted.
Wow.
That's why I put this in.
Yeah,
Because I love this story.
It's haunted, but he went there twice. So it must have been comforting.
It's only the room, only the bedroom.
Only the bedroom. Okay. All right. All right. So here, this is an image from Berlin.
Yeah, this one I took in the hallway.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, that later, and about a year after I took this photo, I look back at the video of Where Are We Now? And
Yes.
then it's the exact same image.
Yeah.
Why? I didn't know I was taking the same image as from Where Are We Now?
Yeah.
And this is the whole, and you can still see the post, because this was in 2016, you can still see the poster of David on the window.
Yeah.
They put there.
I did not pick up on that, that this was this same image from that video. There's
No, but
another, yeah,
I realized when I was watching the video, and
yeah,
I go,
yeah. There's another image in the book that I don't have, that is of a door in New York City that was reminiscent of the door he was standing in front of during the last photo shoot that he did. And I found that, and I was looking at it, and it's actually different. But
this one, you mean this one?
exactly, yes, yes,
Well, this one
yes,
is the studio
yes,
of the Black Star recordings. And this photo,
yes.
this one, you can see the door here.
That's the door. Okay.
This is the door.
Yeah, yeah,
And that's something I can't remember who told this. I thought maybe David still told it. The door to the studio, you would imagine it would be this, but this was the door to the
that's
studio,
the
was
door.
the garage door. So
Yeah.
that's why I took another photo only of the door of the studio.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So
This
now
was a
we're gonna.
very difficult building to take photos of, because these are about 4 or 5 photos that I had to that I had to stitch together.
Yeah. Wow. So here now we're going to New York, and this is an image from New
Yeah.
York. But this is a building that was significant to him before he lived there. So what are we looking at here, and why is this significant?
We're looking at the elevator of the Pierre Hotel. Whilst he was staying at his suite at the Pierre Hotel in December 1974, David made the model for Hunger City and also a half-hour celluloid teaser for the big screen adaptation of his Diamond Dogs album. He originally planned a musical of the book 1984 by George Orwell, but the author's widow would not give them the rights to it. So this is the elevator bringing him to his suites at the Pierre,
Yeah.
where he made this model. And as you know, writing a musical was something he already wanted in the 70s, because he wanted to do the 1984.
Yeah.
And that was really important to him. So, well, he kind of lived at the Pierre. It's not having his own home, but in those days, I don't know if they still do, but in those days, many artists lived in suites, in hotels, for
Right.
longer periods.
Yeah. It's interesting that at this time in his life, I don't think that he was a happy person. And then he returned to New York later after he married Iman, and that it seemed to be the happiest time in his life. So it's interesting he'd returned to a place that that maybe in 1974 did not have the same effect.
No, he had lots of fun in New York.
Yeah.
He had lots of fun in New York, because there also is Studio 54 is there.
Right.
That's we all know what Studio 54 was, don't
Yes.
we?
Yeah. Yeah.
And he used to go there a lot with Ava
Yeah.
Cherry, and she used to or she invited him to the Apollo.
Oh.
And
Yeah.
he went a lot to the Apollo and watching black artists perform.
Yeah.
And that's when he decided that he wanted to write a soul album.
So
Yeah,
Young Americans turns 50 this year.
yeah,
Yeah.
he was really happy in New York.
Okay, I'm probably conflating that with when he went to Los Angeles a little bit later.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is again in New York, and what are we looking at here?
Well, this is another photo of his home,
Right.
and I took this shot this way, like through a keyhole. So because for him his privacy was really important. He
Yes.
went living in New York because he could be anonymous. He
Yeah.
could walk down the street and not being bothered.
Right.
There's a photo in the book in London about the house he wanted to live in after his marriage with Iman. They were thinking of going to live in London, and they bought this house. It's totally decorated, etc. But they never lived there because of the paparazzi.
Right.
And then they went to New York.
So I'm going to come back to this photo. I want to show a different photo that you did not take next, and I'll explain why in a moment.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a photo that I took in 2016. It's across the street from what we're just showing, because right after he died, the street that he lived on became a shrine. And I live in New York State. I live north of New York City, and I came down and visited it, and I took a picture. And the reason I'm showing this is because anybody could take a picture, but what somebody like me, who is not a professional photographer, produces is very, very different than what somebody with your expertise and your artistic vision is able to produce. And I wanted to use that contrast to just ask a little bit about, and this might really be second nature to you, but it isn't to most people. What are you actually doing to set this shot up? And then what mechanically is going into taking the picture?
I feel.
Yeah.
It's about looking. It's you have to see it. Yeah, it's in my DNA. It's my thing. Because you showed me a picture across the street of his house.
Yes.
That's where his office was. Did you know that?
No, I didn't. No.
Yeah. Because this is my picture across the street.
Yeah. And
this is the building where his
Yeah.
office was, and this
Yeah.
is what you showed, and this was a billboard there.
Yeah.
David and Iman. Oh, it's not David and Iman, but they look a lot like them, you
Right.
know?
Yeah.
And that's what I do. I look around, I watch, and then I collect.
Yeah.
And
Well,
then
you have a great sense both of light and framing. You know, I'm looking at this picture, and the shadows frame it, and that keyhole effect that you were talking about really gives depth and meaning to the photo. Whereas, you know, just a regular person taking a photo is just documenting, you know, the image, and it's even fuzzy, right? It's not even clear. So I don't, you know, I'm not sure. Yes. So anyway,
but that's because I was educated as a photographer.
Right.
And so I know what I'm doing.
Yes.
So I know where I want my sharpness. I know where I want my hazy. But I also know about framing. And also because I'm an interior architecture photographer, it's all about lines and framing. Every picture I make has straight lines. If a building is, I have it straight. And photos that are in the book, they're not just shot like that and put in the book. There's also the work after. So you have to do some editing in Photoshop to get the light straight, to get the clouds darker. That's what we used to do in the darkroom, is what I nowadays do in Photoshop.
Yeah, that is, see, that is what you do every day. And
it's a lot of work, I must say. It's a lot of work.
And just for, you know, regular people with their iPhone taking photos, it's not what we do, and that's the difference. So this is an image that's not in the book at all. So what is this? And I want to tell you a little bit about when I first was looking at this, where my eye went. But tell us about the story behind this image here.
Well, this was at the Angelica. The Angelica is a movie theater close to his home where he lived. And I knew he went there a lot. So, and I love movies, so I thought I want to put that one also in my book. So I went there, and I went in, and I wanted to see a movie. So I took whatever movie looked nice. So okay, well, start. Okay, I went in, and while I was waiting for my film to start, this came up,
Yeah.
and that's a rocket. And you know, Lazarus, the rocket, spaceman, well,
Right.
ground control, etc.
Yeah.
So I took this photo, and I thought it was really funny. I was thinking of putting that one in the book, but later on, this image appeared.
Yeah.
It's the same idea, but here you see a man with a microphone, and it looks like David singing.
Sure.
I chose for this one. And that one I took with my iPhone, by the way.
Yeah. I'll tell you, when I was looking at this, my eye initially went to the rocket, and
Yeah.
it I as I was looking at it more, I realized this is not a picture of a rocket. This is a picture of a theater, and I thought that actually was the picture telling a story. So I don't know if this was your intent, but I almost felt like it eased me into what I was looking at and got a better sense of place because
Yeah, well,
right.
That's about framing.
Yeah. So I'm going to just show one more funny picture that I took, not you. But this is
I didn't know you then, and it was summer, so
yes, no, this was, I took this several days ago. I was in New York, and I passed the bitter end. There is a picture of the bitter end in your book, and I'm really including this because it's funny. But why is the bitter end significant to Bowie, and why did you include a much better picture than this in your book?
This is the one. This is the one in the book.
Yes. Yeah.
And this is the door.
Yeah.
And a lot of doors in my book.
Yes.
And with the picture of the door, I want you to imagine him coming out of the bitter end or entering the bitter end. And the bitter end is in it because he loved jazz.
Yeah.
He really loved jazz. And he went a lot to the bitter end also. And the bitter end is one of the last photos in my book because the ending was a kind of bitter end. So that's why I put the bitter end in.
Yeah. So I just want to point out that I have my own copy of the book that when I hold up, it turns invisible. But
I'll show you this. I'll show you this one. This is
it's beautiful, and it's also, you know, Ingrid was talking about the physical structure of the book, and it has a feel to it. It's really I liked holding it, and I liked, as you were explaining, laying it out on a table to really appreciate the images.
Yeah, I wanted special paper. This is uncoated thick paper.
Right.
So the photos are going inside the paper and not laying on the paper. So that gives this special matte effect. This is his home in London.
Yeah.
And you can imagine that this 5-year-old kid walking around the neighborhood, going home or leaving his home, etc.
Yeah.
That's the idea, and you want to feel it. You want to touch all these things.
Yeah. So I've been exploring an idea that David Bowie, which of course was not his real name, was kind of a meta character. And when you're writing about him, when you're taking photos of places where David Bowie still resides, do you think David Bowie is an idea or a concept that's still with us? Or are you really talking about a spiritual presence?
Well, I'm not sure if it still is a spiritual presence now after 9 years.
Yeah.
But I'm sure in the beginning, the first years, it was definitely a spiritual presence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so,
But it's also because it's in your heart.
right. I see, and you know, anybody watching this can see that Bowie remains present in your day-to-day life, just what's on the wall behind you. Um, how is he present for you today?
He had his cancer. I had my cancer in 2010.
Yeah.
So I feel a lot of similar. Um, I feel a lot of similarities with him, and he also. It also helped me making several decisions in my life. And it also helped me looking at life. Yeah, many quotes he says, like we're not going anywhere. That it's still his quotes still help me in my daily life.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, me too.
yeah. I can't recall all of them, but especially the ones that say, it's kind of say live by the day.
We're gonna wrap up. This has been wonderful, and I really enjoyed the book. Is there? I have one last question that I'm going to ask you, but before I do, is there anything else you'd like to say?
Well, I want to thank everybody who gets the book
Yeah.
and likes it, and I hope they enjoy it as much. Looking at it, it gave me a lot of joy making it. Also, it made me really happy. It gave me a lot of joy.
Yeah.
And I wanted, it's not just a book about David Bowie. It's about, it's a tribute to him. And also, it gives comfort to the fans because, many people cannot travel. I'm not
Yes.
sure if everybody from America comes to Europe, to London, to Berlin, or Herouville or Florence. And in this way, I bring him a bit closer to you.
Right. You didn't know that I was going to say something just like that. I really felt like reading it was going on a journey, and that's how I experienced the book, which is why I wanted to talk to you. And I really appreciate the work that you put into this and that you created this wonderful piece of art. So, so thank you, and thank you for coming on. I'm going to ask you one final question, which is very superficial, but I ask everybody, which is, what is your favorite David Bowie album and David Bowie song?
My favorite album is still my first album, Aladdin Sane.
Yeah.
And my favorite song is, well, it has always been Life on Mars.
Yeah. Yeah. That's great.
From the start.
Yeah.
So
Thank
it
you.
never left me.
Thank
Oh,
you
I
very
just
much.
want to say there still are about 35 copies left. So if you want one,
Yeah.
they're
So,
in the Dutch warehouse.
so,
Amazon. Huh?
so don't assume that when people are watching this, that there will still be 35 copies left. So if you're watching this, order your copy now because they're going. I mean, they might be gone by the time you place your
Yeah,
order.
yeah,
So don't
yeah.
wait.
And there's not going to be a reprint, so it's a one-off edition, and
Yeah.
it's a total of 320 copies.
Yeah. Great.
So, yeah.
Wonderful.
And if ever anyone's in the neighborhood and wants his copy signed, then you're very welcome.
I will someday take you up on that. And I don't know when, but I will, because I am very happy with this purchase of this book. And I know anybody else who does will be as well. So thank
Okay.
you. Thank you very much
Thank you.
for coming on.
Thank you.